agenda, and we invite everyone who wishes to participate to be heard. We ask that all speakers come up to the central podium, state their name and address for the record, and be concise in their comments. Thank you for your interest and participation. Please silence all mobile devices at this time. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our board chair, Mr. John White.
Thank you very much. I will call to order the May 26th, 2022 Historic Preservation Board, and we'll start by taking roll. John White, present. Lynn Dennis?
Here.
Landis Fleming, absent. Dan Fowler, absent. Jeremy Moses, delayed. Christopher Olson?
Here.
Cesar Perez?
Here.
Melinda Rinker?
Here.
And Michelle Sylvester, absent. Let me see. I confirm that we have at least 5 members here, so we do have a quorum. And we're awaiting Jeremy, I believe. We have before us the minutes of the April 28th Historic Preservation Board. I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Thank you so much. We have under old business, any word from the Munn Park Committee? Since Dan is not here, Melinda, do you have anything?
No, I was going to say we didn't have one.
We haven't scheduled a meeting yet, but Mr. Chair, we do have the Assistant Director of Community Development here, Ms. Teresa Mayo, and she does have an update for the board.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Teresa Mayo with Community and Economic Development. I know that this has been a topic that you all as a board have had much interest in, as has the community, in the future of Munn Park. And to that extent, I can tell you that there has been some analysis being performed on the park, and that there will be some public outreach conducted likely later this summer to gain input from the larger community on what they would like to see take place in the park in terms of activities and maybe some additional amenities provided. So that is forthcoming. I don't have any additional information beyond that, but I can assure you that the public will be involved in that process, as will this board, when those meetings have been set. So we hope we can provide some more details at the next meeting or a date at which that would occur.
Thank you so much for that update. Part of this was spurred by the fact that Dan and I were approached by a member of the staff last month as we were exiting the building, and everything's copacetic, so just wanted to get that onto the record. Thank you for that update. Any questions from the committee at all?
When are we scheduling our meeting?
That is to be determined. I wanted to get direction from the committee members, whether or not you wanted to hold another meeting or just wait until those public meetings were announced.
Personally, I think I'd like to hold another meeting.
Okay.
Before that?
Before that.
Okay.
Sometime in June, you think?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to attend that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Announcements by staff. Historic Preservation Awards?
Yeah, and our chair can probably talk to this as well. And I was glad to see a number of the board members present at the awards presentation at the Polk Theater. There were 15 awards given out, and it was just a really nice evening to recognize all the hard work that property owners go through to restore our historic buildings, as well as to design new buildings that fit in compatibly with our historic structures. So just wanted to...
Yes, I've noticed that we've been in the news quite a bit recently because of those awards that were given out, and it's all good news.
It's all good
as far
news.
as I can see. We had, I think, what, about 50 people there?
I would say, yeah, 50 to
Yeah.
60 people attended.
It was a very well-attended event, and we were thankful that both the Preservation Board and Historic Lakeland were well represented. Thank you. We have a request for proposals for Phase 1 historic districts. An update?
Yes, so that RFP did go out on May 4th, and it should close on June 6th. So we will be setting up a committee to evaluate the proposals that we received back. So that's kind of the next step in the resurvey project.
All right.
Did we get 3 grants on that, or was it just 1, or how did?
I'm sorry, did you say grants?
The grants, didn't we get a $50,000 grant?
Yes, we received one $50,000 grant.
Okay, but not, have we applied for any others yet?
No, not yet. We can't apply for another one until we complete this first phase.
Okay.
In doing that, can we apply annually? Is that what happens?
We'll have to, so we didn't apply this year because this project is still pending, but we'll apply next year for the, what would that be, the fiscal year
Phase 2.
24, I think,
Okay.
grant cycle.
All right. Thank you. We have the Historic Preservation Board annual review, normally following this meeting today, but because we have, I think, 4 members missing this morning, we'll postpone that until the June meeting.
Yes, June 23rd.
All righty. Thank you. All right. I have no further business unless a member of the board has something to bring up. No. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
And we'll go straight to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
And now we will convene the May 26, 2020 Design Review Committee meeting and start with roll call. Lynn Dennis is here. John White.
Present.
Dan Feller absent. Landis Fleming absent. Jeremy Moses absent. Chris Olson.
Present.
And Melinda Rinker.
Present.
So we do have a quorum, barely. Okay, hopefully you've had time to review the minutes from the April 28th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
No, I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 28, 2022 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. There were 15 certificates of review administratively approved between April 20th and May 19th. Are there any questions regarding any of those administratively approved certificates?
No, I would like to, though, commend the staff for the work at 801, and is that Lexington, on the fence. It looks
The wall?
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes,
It does.
the fence and wall at 801
Moran.
Lexington. Yeah.
Is that the one that has the painting on it, or?
No, this is a brick wall that matches the residence, and then they had to, they were required to put open fencing on the corner. They used a design similar to Florida Southern College, only in black, and it's just a really nice looking
Turned out nice.
for a side yard.
Very good. Then we will move on to the consideration of certificate review applications. This is the public hearing portion of the meeting. And I would ask that Assistant City Attorney Jared Simpson please administer the oath for all those who wish to present or testify
If you're
during the
going to
public
present
hearing.
to the board today, can you stand and raise your right hand? If you're going to speak to the board, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
We got legal. Thank you, Jared, very much. The first certificate of review is HPB 22-084 at 320 West Hancock Street. Final approval is requested for the new construction of a building addition and major rehabilitation proposed for the house at this address. Owner M&P Restoration LLC, and the applicant is Mr. Mario Falcon. Emily, would you? Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any conflicts of interest among the committee members? Okay. Emily, would you present the staff report?
Yes, Madam Chair. The subject property is an interior lot of record consisting of 0.14 acres. And on this property is a one-story single-family residence built circa 1925 in the bungalow architectural style, which is a contributing building in the Dixieland Historic District. The bungalow styling of this house is expressed by a front gabled roof and porch, rounded exposed rafter tails, wooden drop-lap siding, and wooden double-hung sash windows with a 9/1 light configuration. Alterations include the enclosure of the front porch. In addition to replacing mechanical systems and renovations to the interior of the house, the applicant's request for renovation proposes to replace all windows with gel-twin vinyl single-hung sash windows, matching opening size and appearance. Replace all drop-lap siding with hardy plank siding, as existing wood siding is too damaged to repair. Replace front and rear doors with fiberglass 6-panel solid doors. Remove the front porch enclosure and restore back to an open front porch. And re-roof the home with similar asphalt shingles. So this just is the, shows the 4 sides, the 4 elevations of the building, reflecting the proposed renovation. Also proposed is the new construction of an approximately 283 square feet addition at the rear of the structure, along with a wood deck, 8 foot wide, or excuse me, 8 foot deep wood deck. The design and materials for the addition are intended to match the existing house. The areas shown in red approximate the proposed addition. And materials proposed for the addition include a raised foundation with traditional framing and concrete piers, hardy plank lap siding, vinyl single-hung sash windows with a 9/1 light configuration, wood fascia, and an aluminum drip edge and exposed rafter tails to match the existing on the house. The site plan for the proposed addition shows building setbacks that comply with the urban form standards and the Land Development Code. And this request was evaluated using the standards and design guidelines that are referenced here. In evaluating the request with the standards, staff finds that the proposed renovation activities are appropriate and compatible. Staff also finds that the requested addition does not disturb the spatial relationships that characterize the neighborhood, and the essential form and integrity of the subject house is maintained. In evaluating the request with the design guidelines, the materials of the proposed replacement features in addition are mostly compatible with the original materials of the house and consistent with the guidelines. The design of the proposed addition's windows, wall structure, roof pitch and form, and gable vent is consistent with the style of the subject house and guidelines. Furthermore, the addition is appropriately placed at the rear of the house. And as I mentioned before, the building setbacks do comply with the urban form standards of the Land Development Code. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions. With regard to the replacement windows, they must match the original window opening size. They must be recessed from the exterior wall face to the exterior window glass. Flush-mounted replacement windows are not permitted. C, they must match the 9/1 divided light configuration of the original windows, and muntins or grids shall be dimensional and attached to the exterior glass. All paired or grouped windows shall be installed with a dividing mullion of at least 4 inches in width between adjoining windows, and mullion shall be integrated into and match the existing window casing. Number 2, the front door replacement must have glazing in either a quarter light, half light, 3/4 light, or full light configuration. A solid 6-panel style door cannot be used. Number 3, the replacement siding shall match the material, dimension, and profile of the original drop lap siding. Number 4, the removal of the front porch enclosure shall retain the existing brick plinths. And for square columns, use a minimum 8-inch square column with a simpler square capital and base. And finally, number 5, retain all existing exposed rafter tails and use exposed rafter tails in the addition. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Does the
We
applicant,
have number 2.
I was going to say our slides
Oh.
aren't advancing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, does the applicant have anything to add?
Jared, do we need to
We swear him in.
swear him in?
Did you
was-
get late?
Yes.
Yes.
Late? Oh, we do have an oath now, so do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Okay,
everything is good.
okay, no,
I'm sorry. My name is Mario Falcon. This address? 320 West Hancock Street in Lakeland.
no issues with the staff recommendations?
Everything that I heard is so good.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, are there any questions from the committee members?
I was going to ask a question about the scale of the columns themselves. Do we have any historic pictures of the house?
We do not.
Okay. Because alternatively, you could do 3 smaller columns on the corners and 2 on the intermediate piers, as opposed to an 8-inch column. And you tell me, labor-wise or cost-wise for lumber, what might be easier?
We can do 2, I mean, just an additional 4x4, or we can do 8 or 10 inch, or I can do 2, whatever you guys decide.
Many of the columns I know on the historic houses have the one in the middle, and then they're done with,
Yes. And
Plywood
they're usually about 12 inches on the bottom and 8 inches on top.
tapers.
We can do either or 2 or 12 on the bottom, 10 on top, whatever you guys decide. The house next door has 1 each. The one across the street has also 1 each.
Oh,
So however you guys want to do it.
yeah.
Yeah, like my house has the centered, the one centered on the corner, but then on either side of this and this, there's one only a few inches.
Yeah, so you have 3 on
I have the
corners,
3 columns at the corner on the
on the corner piers.
the corner piers. Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, yes. And then 2 on the intermediate piers, or like you say, doing
I can
12
do
to
2.
10 or 12 to
I can
8.
do 2 on each side, or 1 12 inch at the bottom, 8 inch on top. Won't really make a difference to me.
Well, what he's saying is compatibility, this is how it is
Yes.
in adjoining properties, so is there a real reason to make him change his plan?
No, but the staff
That's just a-
recommendation for an 8-inch is
Yeah,
better.
typically, when we
Yeah.
don't know the historic
Right.
configuration or
Right.
appearance, we would just go with the most simple square design.
Right.
Right.
So you would like to go square or go
Yeah,
like we
just-
done in the past,
Right, no, just square,
Just square, at least 8 inch?
at least 8 inches, yeah.
Okay.
And I'd ask that you put a 2x capital and at least a 2x plinth on the bottom.
I always do.
Okay.
I always do.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments from committee members?
Yeah, I like the fact that we're opening up the porch back to its original condition.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But, and it may just be an oversight in the drawing, but are we changing the roof line? Because right now the porch roof steps down from the main house roof.
That's the front porch. I'm gonna open it up. The roof is gonna stay like that, that's how it is. And the addition that I'm doing in the back is gonna continue. It's gonna continue
The
the
house
roof.
line, okay.
So what you're saying is that elevation is incorrect then?
On the
Yeah, I think it might be a draft,
On the drawing.
because there would be a beam at the base of the gable to support the columns.
There is already.
Okay,
They just closed,
they just enclosed it.
they just enclosed and put a bed in there. When I got there, it was a bed in there, so they just enclosed it.
Yeah, it's not reflected on the drawing, but that's just a
Right.
drafting error, I think.
Okay.
And I have one question. I noticed on the drawing that you've got the front door now oddly off-centered. And I realize that I think it's a laundry room, but could you not center that again and just take a cut out of the laundry?
Well, the laundry will no longer be there. That's gonna be an open porch, and the door will be in the center of the house.
So it's not going to be what this is up here?
No, that's gonna be open. It's gonna be the laundry room is on the right-hand side and a room on the left. That porch is gonna be completely open now, and the door for the house will be in the center.
Okay.
So it'll be master suite on the right and family room on the left, and the door in the center.
Okay.
So that
Oh,
right now, they
I'm-
just also there.
Okay, I'm looking at
Yeah, it's the drawings off.
the drawings off. Okay, so the new door is centered with the steps?
Yes, ma'am. There's a master suite on the right and a family room on the left, and the door will be in the center of the house.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it does look like it's moving from existing to proposed on the drawing.
Even on the proposed floor plan, it shows it's moved over.
Okay, any other questions from the committee? Then we close the public portion of this review and move to committee discussion. Is there any discussion, or do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the renovations with the staff recommendations and the qualification that we will have a capital and a plinth on the 8-inch columns, and we will have a centered door on the wall at the face of the house.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Lynn Dennis for the motion, John White,
For the motion?
Jeremy Moat, oh, he's not here, Chris Olson,
For the motion.
and Melinda Rinker.
For the motion.
And the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Falcon.
You have a good weekend.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right, well,
Cesar, you can only speak up.
right, feel free to speak up, just can't vote. Okay, we move on to HPB 22-085 at 506 West Hancock. Final approval requested for the removal of the existing vinyl siding on the house at this address and replacement with fiber cement siding. The owner applicant, Mr. Ian Jones. Okay, any conflicts of interest among members?
No.
Hearing none, Emily, would you present the staff report?
Sure. The subject property is an interior lot of record that is 0.15 acres in size. And on this property is a one-story, single-family house built circa 1926, which is a contributing building in the Dixieland Historic District. The house on this lot features the bungalow architectural style, which is expressed by its gabled roof and porte-cochere, full-width front porch that has been enclosed, tapered columns on brick plinths, and 9/1 double-hung sash wood windows. The house is clad in vinyl lap siding with an approximate 6-inch exposure. The applicant requests to remove the vinyl siding and replace it with hardy plank lap siding, which will have a 5-inch exposure and a wood grain texture. Hardy trim will also be used. This request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced. And while the repair or replacement of small areas of siding may be reviewed and approved by staff, the wholesale replacement of all exterior wall cladding requires the review and approval of the Design Review Committee. When staff conducted the pre-meeting visit to the subject property on May 13th to take photographs of the house, it was discovered that the vinyl siding has been mostly removed, which we do encourage. The original wood siding, which appears to be novelty siding, is a narrow exposure, appears to be in repairable condition, And while hardy siding can be an acceptable replacement for wood siding, the profile and dimension of the hardy siding will not match the original siding, and therefore its use cannot be supported by staff, consistent with the standards and design guidelines. So staff recommends restoring and repairing in kind the original wood siding, trim, and casing. And therefore, staff also recommends denial of the hardy plank siding as requested.
Thank you, Emily. All right. Mr. Jones, do you have comments?
Well, it's news to me.
Okay.
So, no prepared comments, that's for sure.
All right.
I mean, if you do maybe potentially a little bit more proper inspection, there's lots of holes, lots of termite damage onto the plank. It will be, certainly won't be looking nearly as, the home won't look nearly as nice as it would if we were to put the lap siding as planned on it.
Emily, how extensive a review of the property was made?
And someone got a little ahead of themselves on tearing the vinyl siding off of it.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We encourage vinyl siding removal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was mainly just a windshield survey. I did not get out and trespass on
They
the
just
property.
had run power cord, they had run, not power, they had run power and cut lots of holes, and power's been like dismantled, and at some point whenever I think this house had new electric put in 2011, if I remember correctly.
And just to clarify, hardy plank siding is an acceptable alternative to wood siding. However, in preparing the staff recommendation, I felt that I wasn't aware that the wood siding, the original wood siding existed under the vinyl.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I wasn't aware that the original wood siding existed under the vinyl, so when I made that site visit and saw that the original material was still there, it's incumbent on me as your staff to preserve the original fabric of the building.
Right.
But that is a decision that is completely up to you. I just felt I couldn't recommend something that wasn't consistent with our guidelines.
Can you estimate how much of the siding you saw was damaged? No.
Yeah.
I know,
really
tough
couldn't.
call.
Yeah, tough call.
The corners in particular are in quite disrepair. You don't really get to see the corners in this picture. The back, they had done something with the laundry room at some time long before my time, and it's not the same configuration, and it's not the same wood. It's in considerable disrepair. I had the house tented in 2018, I believe, because it was lots of termite damage. So.
Is this what we call double drop siding? Is that what we're looking at?
I think, the double OG siding, I believe.
It's
so.
where it comes down, kind of slants and then drops down again?
No,
or
when you have,
One
when you
board and
have
it has like a
6-inch
double
piece,
profile.
it's double dropped like that in a 6-inch piece, and then this still engages the next one down. So that's the cross section of a piece.
Do you have any photos of that damage, like on a cell phone, where she can put them up here to show how bad it is?
I mean, I'm being totally taken by surprise that it was being denied, because I had conversations about what would be allowed to put lap siding on, and I thought that I had made those provisions.
And we had spoken on the phone prior to that, and
I didn't prepare. I didn't know I was coming in here with a denial, and I needed to prove my case. I can see what I do have on my phone.
And if the committee would permit me, may I ask a question of the applicant?
Yes.
If you were to be granted permission to replace the wood siding with hardy board, would you be able to remove all of that wood siding first?
The existing?
Mm-hmm, to preserve the window casing dimension and depth?
I was leaving the window trim as it is. I was going to run the hardy board right into it, because the profile is small enough to where it will still be, the window trim will be ahead of it, above it. So the new lap siding will still be recessed.
Okay.
And I was leaving the window trim as is. The window trim, of course, is not historical either.
Right.
I mean, it's been wrapped in aluminum already.
Right.
It was that way when I found it, so.
Are you removing the existing siding prior to putting up the hardy?
No, I was going to cover the existing siding, but it will not interfere with the window trim. It'll still be recessed. So it should run right into it and look pretty good. Because they covered, I think they did their trim work on the windows at the same time that they wrapped it in vinyl. So by me removing the vinyl and adding the wood siding, it should look, as they had done it previously with the window trim. I don't believe it'll get in the way of that.
So the aluminum window trim is remaining? Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, can you?
Aluminum window trim is remaining?
No.
Or,
I was not replacing the window trim. The window
Wood.
trim is already there, and it's wrapped in aluminum.
is wrapped in aluminum?
Yeah, clad.
So,
So within 5.5 inches,
I don't think that's unusual when they wrap a home in vinyl.
better.
I think that's pretty typical.
Hardy doesn't have anything that looks like the double drop siding, right?
No, but per the request from Historic, I was going to use the 6 1/4 inch board with the 5-inch reveal. Which, that's a special order item too. Usually it's the 7 1/4 inch that's
Right.
easier to get a hold of.
Does, is the porch remaining enclosed like it is as part of the living space?
I had a conversation with Historic last week about taking the front porch back to its original. Because all that they did here is they basically just wrapped the existing columns and with wood on the inside, wood on the outside, in addition to vinyl. To just add I'm assuming to add some square footage to the home.
Yeah, it's adding more living space. I was wondering, were you planning on opening?
My intention would be to open it back up. My conversation with Historic was that because I was restoring it, that it was only required of a staff review. But that was before I learned that if this gets denied, I'm not sure what I'll do.
Do you know if there's double drop siding also at the back?
It's the same
porch?
siding as, the front, the interior of the home, as it stands right now, has the same siding as that. They just covered it with something veneer, something very
Like
thin.
a plywood?
Yeah, you call it
Line
plywood, but not even as, something much cheaper and, and of course it's in much better condition because it was
Yeah, enclosed.
Protected.
enclosed, it was protected, exactly.
now, if you put hardy board over the existing board there, when you get up to the windows, aren't you right at the front level of the trim?
No, because the Hardy's not 3/4, that's, you got 3/4 inch plus aluminum on that trim on the windows, and the Hardy, I think, is a 3/8 inch profile.
Yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch profile.
So it'll be set back.
That's enough.
Yeah, and it'll be done as just a lap siding.
Again, they did it with the vinyl, and so that's how they had prepared it.
I mean, my concern is losing the historic view of the wood and, not knowing what damage is actually there to the wood. I'm not sure I can
Well,
make a decision.
Here's the thing, the existing original siding would remain, correct? It would be protected under the hardy, correct?
Yes,
Just as it was with the vinyl.
The actual fabric of the house will still be there. It would not be visible.
but it does change the overall look.
Jump in, Caesar.
So this would have been approved if not for because the guy went ahead and started removing. You would haven't seen it,
Right.
so this would have been approved. So our guidelines don't have an issue with covering this. So I don't understand why we're still
Do we?
trying to
Well, that's
not
my-
cover it.
that's my
If it
point.
wasn't for the case that the guy went ahead and started removing, and Emily did the field trip, right, and she saw it, we would have never guessed it.
Yeah.
You would have never said anything and would have just continued on. The guy wouldn't even be here.
But-
And that, so
Well,
he's
yeah.
not doing anything wrong.
No,
So to me, we should
Yeah, it's just
motion
from
to
a
approve.
historical standpoint, and my
and change
my
it,
point
'cause
to this is,
Even if we go ahead and do a review and it's too bad for repair, then we're just gonna go ahead and remove it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna cover it, and it's already been covered one time, so I don't see the problem, because we allowed for that to happen.
Right, but isn't
So under the
pulling it-
guidelines, he's doing what he's supposed to.
But did he have, do you have to have a permit to pull vinyl off?
No.
No, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean,
that's-
I-
Maintenance.
I'm like, oh.
I was out of town. They knew that I was waiting for this to get approved before they could put the lap siding on. They got ahead of themselves. I came back from being out of town to witness that they had already torn it off. I mean,
I'm seeing the two gables. They also have the double drop siding up in the gables. Are you planning on putting the hardy board up there as well?
I am. I mean, you know, as far as improvements, it's going to meet the standards of the 5-inch reveal, and it will look
right.
a lot better than I found the home.
Jump in, Chris, what are your thoughts?
I'm good with covering. I'd like to focus on the details of the porch.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the way I'm leaning. Where the historic fabric is maintained, it is not visible, but it's not being destroyed.
If I may add too, I mean, I'm restoring the existing windows. I went and got a staff approval for that as well. That's why the plywood is up. So, I mean,
You're a good
I'm
student.
making a good-hearted attempt here.
Yeah, we get it.
Will the columns on the porch match those of the two on the portico shear?
They currently don't. They're just a 4x4 in there. And it looks like it was existing 4x4 that they had covered, or 4x4-ish. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was telling the previous fellow, that normally there's a 4x4 in the middle that's giving you the structural support,
Yeah.
and then you build this out of plywood
They may
or
have
out
torn
of
that
hardy
off
board.
before, and they would have had to have torn those off anyways because they basically turned it into that size of a wall.
I'd like to see them back matching.
At this point, this isn't an issue, okay? He's not doing the porch right now, correct?
I haven't submitted the request. It is our desire to do the porch.
But that would be a second thing that came to us, correct? So what the
That
only
would
thing
be
we're
staff
dealing
level.
with right now is the ability to put hardy
What was that?
over the existing.
That would be staff level review of the porch. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that would work.
So that's the only issue that we're dealing with right now,
Okay.
okay? Okay, are there any questions from the public or comments?
Madam Chair, I have one more question from staff.
Pardon?
I have one more question from staff. The gable vents, now that they've been uncovered,
Yeah.
can those be restored back to what they currently look like?
What would that look like?
That one, it looks like
Looks like wood lattice.
a wood lattice in a 90-degree
Okay.
pattern.
You mean when we put the lap siding on? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other public comments, we will close the public hearing portion of this and discussion among committee members. So I think if we're okay with this, if there's a motion to approve with the addition of maintaining the gable vents.
Question.
Yes.
If putting the siding over it, you know, matches up and there's definitely still the visibility, the reveal, thank you, that word. If it somehow doesn't, I mean, do they need to, I mean, is it far enough out, the window trim reveal, if with that?
It looks like it. I mean, vinyl siding
to
is
my
a
tape
lot
measure.
thinner than hardy board, but I think the reveal can be accomplished with the hardy.
what?
I think the reveal can be
Okay.
accomplished with the hardy board.
It's basically gonna look like that.
Yeah.
He's just removing vinyl and putting.
Yeah, the boards are thin.
Yeah.
So it's already that, so you're not gonna see, I mean,
Not
it's
gonna
gonna look
vary.
different, it's gonna look better, but it's just.
You're still going to have that
You're still gonna see
definition.
exactly that.
Yeah.
Is all of the corner trim 4-inch corner trim?
Oh, for the lap siding?
For the existing double drop siding, it looks like it is.
Well, for the
Are you intending
existing-
to do the same on the porch if you don't reopen the porch?
For the existing, they really didn't have any corners. They just had the boards meeting the boards, and in some cases, the boards don't even meet the boards. There's lots of, this corner that you're looking at doesn't help show it as much as the back corners do, where it's currently the wood slats just meet. There's no real corners per se, if you know what I mean.
So there was no trim on the original?
There was no trim on the original corners, or they tore it off when they put the vinyl on, for all I know.
Yeah, it could be both.
Yeah, but there's none, and that's in that back corner there. There's many different holes in the back corner where the two pieces, where the woods are not coming together.
Do they align the double drop siding?
No, not in the corner.
Okay.
Well, they're supposed to align, but there's lots of holes along the way.
Okay.
And I'm assuming there were corners on it at some point that they must have torn off when they put the vinyl on.
And are you planning on putting the corner boards back on?
Yeah, that's how you do the vinyl siding. Yeah, usually it's a 1x4 board.
But with the hardy board?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, usually you build them out of the 1x4 hardy board corners and you bring them together to cover where the
Where they
siding overlaps.
Meets, yeah.
Yeah, where they meet. That's correct.
So that siding would butt up
And you would
to the
do that
board.
same on the porch if you don't reopen the porch then, is what we're saying?
If we don't reopen the porch, yes, sir. Yeah. But intention is to open up the porch. We just haven't gotten that far.
One step at a time.
Well,
Okay.
some of the processes are, we're learning as we go.
Sure.
Okay, any other discussion among committee members? Do we hear a motion?
I motion that we approve
Do you want to add,
the siding.
You're going to have to add some
the
guidelines.
maintain the gable vent? as-
Right, and maintain the gable fence. And then we want edge trim on the walls,
And we're
corner
saying
trim.
5-inch was what you were going to approve?
5-inch reveal.
Do I hear a second?
You've got a split board right now.
Well, I can get a second, then we can have discussion, and then you go one way or the other.
I feel like seconding it either.
Okay, the motion dies for lack of a second. Do we need to discuss this more? What?
Can I suggest that we table this till next month and have a more complete committee?
Can I second this?
No, because you're not on the
Sorry.
I know, I just don't get it.
I think we're split 2-2 is what it looks like, and that's why I was going to say, can we just table it until next month?
I'm needing more pictures.
Yeah.
And we don't have, or do we have?
We have no
drawing-
close-ups.
No close-ups and no drawings.
And I mean, I would have done anything. I was not aware of that.
We
Yeah,
understand.
Yeah, Mr. Jones would have provided.
Can you administratively approve if he shows you more pictures to give you what you need to do it? Because you were gonna do
For
it
the siding?
without us.
Yeah.
I can't, not for wholesale siding.
The recommendation is to deny.
Yeah.
Okay, then I need to hear a motion if we're,
I'd move to table this until next month. Sorry.
I'm gonna second that, because I'm really torn on this. Sorry.
I'm a 2-2 split on
well, I
this.
was going to say, we would end up with the 2-2 split on this, so
Oh, then what can I do to move forward?
nothing.
I have to put it
I
back
mean,
to.
I think-
right now, the
I think
debate is
2 of
whether.
us are falling on the side of restore the double
That
drop
you need
siding,
to
and 2 of us are saying it's okay to cover the whole other side.
Exactly.
And that's the
That's
problem
where
is
we
we've got
are.
a 4-person
Sure.
I
quorum.
was just going to chime in, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Emily and I were talking about the appeal process. We don't have specific rules of procedure for our appeal process, and we don't have a lot of appeals, so it's something that we just kind of deal with as we get them. But one of the things that I had mentioned to Emily, and that because normally we say when the board denies something and then you come back, you get the full HPV, but there's no reason to put it off another month or whatever, unless the reason that the board denies is a lack of information or something that the applicant needs to go and research and come back or whatever. But,
So you're saying
what
that
I'm
the
suggesting,
appeal could happen here.
it could happen right now and then Caesar could vote
Yeah.
to break the deadlock. If there was a denial, he could then request that the full board hear it, which would then include Caesar's vote, which would give us an odd number to.
Of course, we'd have to we would have to get a vote to.
I mean, my request is an answer.
Well,
I would like to
can I
proceed
ask?
somehow, some way. I've already waited a month.
We understand.
I need to ask Jared a specific direct question. If it splits 2-2, does the chair get to vote again?
We don't have anything in our rules of procedure about that.
Okay.
Normally, in Robert's rules, when you have a tie vote, it basically renders the motion a null. So it's as if the motion failed at that, normally under parliamentary procedure. Just do a quick search in our rules really quick to see if it addresses.
And I feel like we're missing, drawings and.
You're missing it because staff did not tell me they were going to deny it. I was on the phone with staff last week as well, and that didn't come up.
I think we are saying, Jared, that we do have a lack of information in terms of how badly the double drop siding is damaged.
But I'm not saying that.
Yes, no, I think Melinda and I are saying.
Right, if you're saying that, then that is reason to continue.
I want to chime in real quick. So
Yes.
the request was for replace all existing vinyl siding with hardy plank, right? So we allowed to replace that. And he's doing, with the guidelines, and there's no means for us, other than we just saw a little bit of the existing that's already been covered. That's the motion here. That's what we're gonna approve or deny. I mean, not the porch, not, because we don't even have the information.
The porch is not
Because if he removes
part of it.
everything,
Right.
and it's really, really bad, then he has to go through that. But he's not even there, right? So I'm just saying, can we
Staff's position.
focus on
Right, and the focus
what it
here
is.
is staff recommendation based on the guidelines, historic preservation guidelines, to restore what is restorable, not cover it up. So that's where the rub is.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that.
No, I
There's
get what
two
you're
of two,
saying.
right? And if this person decides to not do anything, then we got a bigger problem, right? The house, it don't look good, right? I mean, and it's been covered once. So I'm just trying to get us to one point, right? Once he removes everything, if it's really bad, you're still gonna lose the original material, right? Because we don't even know that.
I'll withdraw
How
my
bad?
motion to table.
How bad is the existing siding and where is it bad?
In the corners.
Okay.
Corners. Lots of holes along the way. Most of those planks will have to be removed because I can't extend them. They're not, or that or the patch job will look horrendous.
How far in are there holes?
You're talking about 3 or 4 inches down the corners.
Okay.
You saw the fireplace, where the wood meets the fireplace. Of course it's wrong.
Where?
It's gone.
See the fireplace? Of course.
Okay, it's there.
It's terrible design. Water flows right on down it, no matter what you do.
There's no cricket behind it.
They just didn't do it right. So all that wood behind that fireplace is rotten.
Okay.
The back side, When they enclosed the back porch, turned it into a laundry room, they didn't use the right wood. They just used whatever they found. The bottom of the house, near the crawl space, most of that wood's already been replaced with just some standard plywood, 1x wood, whatever it took to keep the house going. Of course, it's riddled with lead paint. Not to mention that.
Welcome to historic homes. Sorry. No, but I get it.
Right. I mean, bringing that back to looking good will not come easy.
What is your intention on the enclosure of the crawl space? Are you taking siding to the ground, or are you stopping the siding?
I was going to stop the siding and do the lattice like most of the neighborhood does.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it seemed only reasonable.
I'll go back then and second
Okay.
Mr. Olson's
Okay,
motion.
very good. And now we'll have discussion. And I will just say again, while I understand the issues at hand, I truly do. The bottom line is that the original fabric is being retained. It will not true be visible, but it is not going away.
Which is the one saving grace on this.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the where the boards meet up to the window, I think that will partially change because the reveal is very minor now, as opposed to a little bit more, but
Is it enough to,
and that's where I'm.
because there have been many more instances where there have been issues far greater than this that we've approved. So I just, once again, we want to preserve and protect.
Right.
We're preserving it. True, it has something over it that will continue to protect it because the hardy is going to hold up and not let the existing historical fabric to deteriorate further. So there's that. So
Okay.
Can I suggest a friendly amendment, though, to yours to address the crawl space, asking that it be opened and latticed?
With the lattice?
And did we talk about the wood lattice up top? And
Yes,
Yes,
his
we
motion
did, the Gable.
would suggest.
Okay.
You want me to rephrase it?
Yep.
if you-
Just say you'd like to amend your motion to
I will amend my
include-
motion to include approving the siding with the lattice work on the vents
wood.
and the wood lattice and wood lattice around the base of the building for the crawl space.
I would not be
I would-
opposed to that being some other product than
Vinyl,
wood.
yeah.
Other than
Vinyl.
what?
Just
Vinyl-
say
vinyl
lattice.
Yeah, just say lattice.
It's okay to put screen up in front of the lattice. I've seen that.
On the backside of it.
Yeah, on the backside, that's what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I've done that myself. And then the trim boards on the corners.
Must, yeah. be
I'll second the motion.
The trim corners are on the certificate of review, just
Okay,
so you
good.
know.
For you in the back where they're not there right now.
Okay, we have a
They're on the
motion.
list of proposed materials is all.
They were there when the vinyl.
We have a motion and a second. Not hearing no further discussion, I call for the vote. Lynn Dennis for the motion. John White,
For the motion.
Chris Olson,
For the motion.
Melinda Rinker.
With hesitation, I am for the motion.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us work this out.
And thank you, Cesar, for your input.
Yes, absolutely do appreciate that. Okay, next certificate of review, HPB 22-086 at 711 East Lime Street. Final approval requested for the new construction of building addition and minor exterior alterations proposed to the house at this address. The owner is Bogia LLC, applicant Mr. Albert Moore Construction. Are there any conflicts of interest among committee members? No. Hearing none, Emily, would you please present the staff recommendation?
Sure. The subject property is an interior lot consisting of .18 acres, which was previously a vacant lot in the East Lake Morton Historic District. The house now occupying the subject property had been approved for demolition by the Design Review Committee in May 2021, but was salvaged by the applicant and relocated from 721 East Orange Street to the subject property in June 2021. Due to the demolition approval by the DRC, the relocation request was able to be approved by staff. To facilitate moving this building, the front porch, a small side addition, the chimneys, and the roof of the house were removed. So this shows the house on the former property on Orange Street. The subject house is a one-story single-family residence built circa 1920 in the bungalow architectural style, which is a contributing building in the East Lake Morton Historic District. The bungalow styling of this house is expressed by a gable front roof, a symmetrical facade, triangular knee braces in the gable ends, and an integrated front porch with a 3-segmental arch base supported by square columns. The house also has wooden drop-up siding, corner boards, and double-hung sash windows with a 1/1 light configuration. 2 separate front doors are located on the front facade, which reflects the conversion of this building from a one-family house to a duplex in its past. The applicant's request proposes to reconstruct the historic character-defining features of the home, including all front porch and front gable elements, a chimney on the west side of the house, and the gabled roof with wide eaves and exposed rafter tails. Repairs as necessary will be made using salvaged historic building materials to match the original appearance of the house. The front door on the left side of the front facade will be removed so that only one front door will remain, and the secondary opening will be enclosed with matching siding. Also proposed is an approximately 560 square feet addition at the rear of the structure, and the design and materials for the addition are also intended to match the existing house. So materials for the addition include raised concrete foundation with crawl space venting, wood siding to match the historic drop lap profile, vinyl clad double hung sash windows with a 1/1 light configuration, a fiberglass side entry door with half light appearance to match the front door, architectural shingles on the roof, and an aluminum drip edge over the wood fascia, exposed rafter tails to match the existing house, and no soffit will be used since those rafter tails are exposed. The site plan for the proposed addition shows building setbacks that comply with the urban form standards of the Land Development Code. And this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced. In evaluating the request with the standards, staff finds the proposed reconstruction activities are appropriate and compatible. Staff also finds that the requested addition does not disturb the spatial relationships that characterize the neighborhood, and the essential form and integrity of the subject house will be maintained. In evaluating the request with the design guidelines, the materials of the proposed reconstruction and addition reflect the original materials of the house and are compatible with the guidelines. The design of the proposed addition's windows, new side entrance, exposed rafter tails, roof pitch and form, knee brackets, and gable vent is consistent with the style of the subject house and design guidelines. Furthermore, the addition is appropriately placed at the rear of the structure. And finally, the building setbacks for the new addition meet the requirements of the Land Development Code's urban form standards. So therefore, staff recommends final approval of the request as submitted.
Thank you, Emily. Does the applicant have anything to add? Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, are there any questions from the committee members?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I'm really not as difficult as I likely seemed on the last one.
Yes, she is.
Okay, I might be.
Don't believe her. Okay, hearing no discussion or questions, from committee members, we'll close the public hearing portion of this and have committee discussion. Is there any?
Nope.
Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve per staff recommendations there.
Second?
Second that.
Discussion? Roll call vote. All in favor? I'm
I
sorry.
have a point of discussion.
Point of
I would-
discussion.
Yes. I wanted to recognize the fact that Albert Moore was
Yes.
noted as Contractor of the Year in our design awards.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And
And I really appreciate the fact that you're using the historic boards to come back in and put those in place. I know there's a lot of stuff missing currently, and yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Very well. All right, call the question. We'll take a roll call vote. For the motion, Lynn Dennis. For the motion, John White.
For the motion.
Chris Olson.
for the motion.
Melinda Rinker.
For the motion.
You are approved. Thank you so much. Thank you. We can't wait to see the finished product. Very well, moving right along. HPB 22-087, 820 South Central Avenue. Final approval requested for the metal roof installed on the house at this address without a certificate of review or building permit. The owner applicant, Mr. Polikarp Agbara. Are there any conflicts of interest among committee members? Hearing none, Emily, would you present the recommendation?
Thank you. The subject property consists of one lot and a partial lot of record with a total area of 0.26 acres. And on this property is a one-story single-family house built circa 1954 in the modern masonry vernacular architectural style, which is a non-contributing building in the Lake Hunter Terrace Historic District. The house is currently a rental property owned by the applicant. Prior to 2018, the roofing material of the subject house consisted of 3-tab asphalt shingles. In August 2018, a ribbed panel metal roof was installed. While a building permit for re-roofing was applied for by D's Roof LLC for the applicant, the historical review in the permit was disapproved by staff for the following reasons. Number one, ribbed panel metal roofing is not permitted in the city's historic districts. And number two, the modern architectural style of the home on this property did not support the use of a metal roof. Both reasons were provided in accordance with the Historic Preservation Board's metal roofing policy, which was incorporated into the design guidelines for historic properties in 2020. Additionally, staff recommended re-roofing this house with asphalt or composition shingles. The Building Inspection Division also disapproved the building permit per the historical review comments, and a permit technician notified the roofing company of the disapproval and staff comments. Apparently, the roofing company went ahead and installed the metal roof without issuance of a building permit. Recently, the metal roof was noticed by staff, and the applicant was made aware of its non-compliance with the design guidelines. As staff is unable to administratively approve metal roofs for the reasons previously stated, this request was deferred to the design review committee. And so the request was evaluated using the guidelines referenced. Staff finds that the request is not consistent with the design guidelines or compatible with the architectural style of the house. However, staff also finds that the subject house is a non-contributing building in the Lake Hunter Terrace Historic District and is actually on the western edge of the district. And other insensitive alterations exist that would preclude it from contributing to the district in a future resurvey. Additionally, the metal roof has existed for nearly 4 years, and there have been no objections about it from the district's residents. For the latter two reasons, staff is able to interpret the design guidelines with some flexibility and therefore is able to support the applicant's request. And so staff does recommend final approval of the request as submitted.
Very well. Does the applicant have anything to add? Good morning. Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Polikarp Agbara. I'm the owner of the 820 South, Central Avenue. This came to my notice when the code violation sent me a letter. So I didn't know anything about it. This is almost 4 years ago. So I just got a letter from the code enforcement So then I start calling. I spoke with Emily Foster. He gave me the building department. So that's when I learned that this is the one that I contracted. This happened through the hurricane 2017-2018. So I contracted the contractor this as the roofer. So I didn't know anything about the letter that was sent to this, that the metal roof was denied. So when I got the code enforcement, I started calling. That's when I realized that they told me that a letter was sent to this, that I did not receive any information. So that's how I knew about it, is because of this code enforcement. So the communication is between these and the city or the building, permitting in the committee. So I didn't know anything about it. So what I did was to find a contractor, gave the roofing contract to him. So he did the whole work. So the communication is between the building committee and then this. I never received any information until this time. So that's why I'm here.
Very good. Okay, are there any comments from the public? Hearing none, do you have questions from the committee?
Yeah, so what you're saying is D's pulled the building permit, got declined and notified as to the reason why a metal roof of this nature isn't appropriate. They ignored that, went ahead with this, and didn't tell you.
I didn't know anything about that. Even my property manager who handled that thing did not know anything about it. So it's about this code violation. When I got the code violation, then I start calling. I said, why did I get the code violation? So when I called the code enforcement referred me back to the building department. The building department referred me back to Emily Foster. So the building said that this applied, but an email was sent to this, denying it. So I asked for the email. They said that they can,
You were not aware of it?
Yes, I asked for the email they sent to this. So the building department did not give me the email. So I don't have any information. The only how I know about it is this code enforcement violation. That's how I know about it. And this is almost 4 years ago.
Okay.
Have you owned the building the whole time?
So,
Have you been the owner of the building?
yeah, I've been the building of
The whole
owners
time?
to 2005 or so.
Okay.
I bought it a long time.
Is there recourse on a city level to go to DEES to install the appropriate roof?
And this might be a question for Jared, but when I spoke with our building inspection division, they said that it was a civil matter at that point when Dees installed the roof, because Dees had the contract with Mr. Agbera.
There's no recourse against the roofer, there's no recourse against anybody for the fact that they ignored a denial of a permit?
Well, I mean, if the licensed contractors are required to follow the codes, so I would think that if you hire someone and they don't follow those codes, you could make a complaint to the FDBPR or the the construction licensing board.
But code enforcement, other than bringing it to the code enforcement board, has no recourse?
For the city, I mean, that is our avenue for enforcement, is to work without a permit essentially and bring it to the code enforcement board and levy a fine until they get a permit.
Would that fine go against Dees or against him?
Well, they normally cite the property owner, so it would be ultimately a lien on the property. So,
and does the city, because I've had issues with contractors, and it was like, well, so what? But does the city have any teeth in something where, hey, you're not allowed to continue work elsewhere in the city until you've fixed this?
No, unfortunately, that was kind of a recent amendment to the code, but we're not allowed to, if a contractor fails to final out a permit or fails to pull a permit or something like that, we're not allowed to use that as a basis to deny other permit applications. The legislature took that authority away a few years ago.
Okay. And how did the final get approved?
No permit was issued, so there wasn't a final inspection.
Wait, there's no
That's
permit
what
at all
it
for,
said. There was never a permit for the roof.
Yeah, there was a permit applied for, but it was never issued.
oh,
So it was work done without a permit,
work done with,
Yeah.
which would go to code enforcement.
Are there
board.
any
That's
other
why we didn't find out
questions?
about it until 20.
Are there any other
or-
questions for the applicant? If not, we'll close the public hearing portion of this, and now just the discussion of the committee.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it with staff report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Just to get it on the table. to
Right, we
discuss.
have a motion and a second to approve as staff recommend. Discussion? I will say this, and I'm going with staff's comment about the fact that this is on the very edge of this district as non-contributing. And this is one of those things where we have had before, where something slips through the cracks. We don't have enough people really to follow up on things, not us, but the city, to really be on top of everything that's going on. And in this instance, I think staff is spot on how to handle this.
can a permit be applied for the metal roof?
Yes, if the committee gives its approval per staff recommendation, then the permit could be closed out or issued and closed out.
That, I
Is
mean,
that something that should be done, Jared?
What do you mean?
If they've got an open permit that hasn't been approved,
Well, it sounds like the only reason it wasn't approved is because Emily then
I disagree.
said that it didn't meet.
so if this is
guidelines.
approved, would they close it out?
Once the board approves it, then
Okay, then
that'll
it's closed.
eliminate that basis for denying the permit, so.
so then they can pay for the permit and.
Sounds like they've already
already
paid
paid
for
for
it. Don't they pay for it when they apply?
No, they pay for it when it's issued.
Okay, so it'll get issued and then they'll pay for it and then a final inspection will occur, and assuming that
The roof's-
it meets all the requirements for installing a metal roof under the building code, then it'll get closed out with that final inspection.
And one of
just-
those is hurricane
Right,
uplift and all that kind of
once
stuff.
if we vote to approve with staff recommends, then it would go to
Permitting.
Back to permitting,
Yeah,
pay
close
for the
out.
permit,
Yeah,
get it fully open, close it,
yeah,
and move forward.
yeah.
I would like to motion to approve with,
It's,
Oh,
oh, you did, okay, okay.
Chris
if
is
there's,
on.
Okay,
if there's no further discussion, we'll take the vote then. In favor, for the motion, Lynn Dennis, John White,
For the motion.
Chris Olson,
For the motion.
Melinda Rinker.
for the motion.
Okay. Motion is approved. And you understand what will happen now? This approval will go back to permitting. They will then continue the permitting process. They'll go out, be sure the roofer installed it properly.
Okay, so do I need to call them, or do they need to send me a letter, or what?
Yeah, I'll
Or
be
do
in
they
touch.
need to?
Yeah,
to
I'll be
call
in
you?
touch with you so that we can get that cleared out, because I believe the permit is in D's Roofing in their name. So you'll need to probably work that out with them to
Yeah,
get it
but,
closed
you know,
out.
I know, even I called him, I texted him that, to be here today, so I didn't know why
Yeah.
he's not here, but I told him that, so I sent him the whole, the letter you sent me, I sent it to him, so, do I need to wait for your email? Or?
Yes, yeah, please wait for my email and we'll get it settled.
Okay.
And also,
Go ahead.
also, one other thing, you can go on lakelandgov.net and go to the permit section, and you can see pull up your address, and you can actually see where the permit is in process, so that even if your contractor has not, applied or gotten these things, you can actually follow. I followed up a few times when my AC permit was not going the way it was supposed to be going, and just caveat here, you're the owner, you've got to make sure these permits
Yeah, do I
are.
need to ask him to do the permitting, or do I have to apply by myself? Do I need
Yeah,
to
you
ask
can apply for the roofing permit.
Well, it's already applied for,
Yeah.
Applied for.
so that'll just be a continuation of that permit. Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Then you're not on the way.
Yes, I'll get in touch with
Okay.
you after the meeting.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay, our next certificate for review, HPB 22-088, 1022 Success Avenue. Final approval requested for minor exterior alterations proposed at the house at this address. Owner applicant, Mr. Michael Mutz and Mrs. Anna Lee Mutz. Are there any conflicts of interest among the committee members? No. Okay. Hearing none. Emily, we're having technical difficulties here, but if you'd present staff recommendation, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of Success Avenue and McCrory Street and consists of 2 lots of record with a total area of 0.32 acres. And on this property is a single-family house in the Queen Anne architectural style that was built circa 1907 and is a contributing building in the South Lake Morton Historic District. The 2-story home features a gabled roof, polygonal tower, and a hipped roof porch that wraps around the south side of the house. The front porch is supported by tapered columns on brick plinths. Windows in the home consist of wooden double-hung sash windows with a 1/1 light configuration and wooden casement windows with a 4 and 10 light configuration. As one of the oldest homes in the South Lake Morton Historic District, its original and last use was as a single-family home. However, it was divided into apartments at one time, likely in the 1940s or 50s, and has a 2-story addition on the back of the house with a separate entry at the rear of the structure as a result. The home is currently clad in vinyl siding with vinyl soffit and fascia and vinyl foundation skirting. Aside from the cladding, the home retains architectural integrity. The applicants have begun a major rehabilitation of the subject house in which all mechanical systems will be replaced and the interior spaces will be reconfigured to accommodate a more efficient use of the space for their use. This rehab work will make necessary several minor exterior alterations as follows. Number 1, removal of the attic gable vents on the front and rear elevations and replacement with sealed vinyl siding trim. Number 2, removal of the existing vinyl foundation skirting and replacement with vinyl square lattice. Number 3, removal of the side doorway and related stoop on the south side elevation and enclosing this opening with typical frame wall construction and vinyl cladding to match existing. Number 4, replacement of the existing solid wood door on the rear elevation with a full light composite door. Number 5, removal of 4 windows on the rear elevation and 2 windows on the north side elevation, and enclosing these openings with typical frame wall construction and vinyl cladding to match existing. And the final alteration proposed is replacement of 8 windows, 3 on the front elevation, 1 on the north side elevation, and 4 on the rear elevation, with single hung aluminum windows with a 1/1 light configuration. And 7 will match the original opening size. 1 window on the rear elevation at the attic level will be reduced in height. 1 window on the north side elevation, second story, will be relocated slightly to align with interior fixtures. And additionally, if their budget allows, the applicants intend to remove the vinyl siding on the home and either restore the wood siding underneath, if it still exists and is in good condition, or replace the wood siding with hardy board lap siding with a 6-inch exposure. So this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced. And staff finds the removal of the wooden attic gable vents on the front and rear elevations of the house to be inconsistent with the standards as original features of the home. It is suggested that these vents are left as is and sealed and insulated from the inside to make the attic usable living space. And while the removal of original window openings is not recommended by the design guidelines, staff finds the request to remove a total of 6 windows will not adversely affect the overall architectural character of the subject house, as the window openings are located on the secondary elevations. Additionally, 5 of these windows are located on the rear addition of the house, which is not an original feature. Similarly, staff finds the removal of the door opening and the stoop on the south side elevation to be consistent with the standards and design guidelines, as this feature is a part of the rear addition, not original to the house. Staff finds the replacement windows and rear elevation door replacement to meet the intent of the design guidelines. However, casement windows with a 4-light configuration should be used as replacement windows on the north side elevation bump out at the kitchen area instead of a single hung sash window. Additionally, the request to reduce the size of a rear elevation window opening and relocate a window opening on the north side elevation is found to be compatible, as these windows are located on secondary elevations. Regarding the enclosure of window and door openings and their infill with traditional wall framing, weather barrier, and vinyl siding, while staff understands that the house is currently clad in vinyl siding, staff finds that the vinyl siding is not an acceptable cladding material. Staff supports the applicant's intention to restore the original siding of the home or replace using hardy plank siding if the original siding is damaged, consistent with our guidelines. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions. Number 1, maintain the wooden attic gable vents on the front and rear elevations of the house. Number 2, use casement windows with a 4-light configuration as replacement windows on the north side elevation bump out at the kitchen area instead of single hung sash windows. And number 3, for window and door enclosure areas, use siding that is acceptable according to the design guidelines. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Does the applicant have anything to add?
Good morning.
Good morning.
John.
How are you?
Our architects are
Welcome
fantastic.
back.
Yes, thank you. Annalie and Michael are on vacation this week, and so they're unable to be here, so they asked me to step in for them. They're really undertaking a tremendous task in doing the work that they're doing. The interior is really a mess. And so the only thing I wanted to add, 2 things. Number 1, on the wooden attic gable vent, I gotta bring a couple of pictures. So the current home has 2 occupiable floors, and there's an occupiable attic, but it's very small. And so Michael would like to make that into a home office. And so it's very, very limited, but it runs the full length east-west of the house. And so there's windows on each end. And so I think the next, maybe the 3rd picture in, 3rd slide, I'm sorry, next one. Okay, here. So this, the picture to the left is actually looking to the east. And then the picture to the right is looking to the west. So both are very similar. The front has 2 windows with the attic vent above, and the rear has a single, and this is where we want to add an adjoining window to match the front. And so the request for to remove the attic vent is just strictly about flashing. And I understand the need to maintain that. And so I think we can work out a situation where we'll have to remove the vent, flash that properly, put the vent back in, and close the back. So I don't think that's a problem, but just wanted to make it known that wooden vent will need to be removed so it could be flashed, close in the backside. So I don't think there's an issue there. So we can put that back. The only other item I wanted to talk about was the siding, which is staff recommendation number 3. And so I have a couple of pictures then. I think it was the second slide, Emily. Go up one. So here, this is on the back of the house. This was a former porch, and it was turned into a laundry room. And you see a utility sink, and there was washer dryer hookup, but it was Dutch lap siding or drop reveal siding, has many names, but essentially a deep reveal with a 6-inch face essentially. And so our guess is that the remainder of the house would potentially have this underneath the vinyl siding, but the vinyl has been there for at least 30 years is our guess, and it could be longer. And so what the intent would be to remove all the vinyl. But as Emily stated, entire new HVA system, 2 units upstairs, downstairs, all new ductwork, entire electrical rewiring the entire house is old knob and tube wiring. And so all that's being replaced, new panels, new wiring everywhere. And then same with the plumbing. I think I have you see just to the left, there's a bathroom right here, and that's where we want to move the windows. So go, I forget what order, so if you can just maybe hit next page, there might be, you can come back to that one, might be the last page. Okay, yeah, just to the left there. It's the plumbing, oh, sorry. Bottom left would be the existing bathroom, and that window we want to adjust, you know, about 2 feet over. It's really an odd bathroom. It's huge, and there's a tub, a toilet, and a sink is like 6 feet away on the other wall. And it's just very wasted space. And so we've reworked the interior. The bathroom is generally going to stay in that location, just that window needs to adjust. But my concern, and it's really a question, and I understand the guidelines, obviously. They talk about replacement. And when I think of replacement would be, I'm going to remove all the siding. And so if I was proposing to you, I was going to remove all the siding, that would be a replacement. I would come back with wood or hardy board. In this application, we're not proposing to remove all the vinyl, just based on budget. We're just getting started. Interest rates have gone. I mean, everyone knows the climate that we're in, and the owner's committed to do the work, right? We wouldn't be here. We're in for a building permit, and so we're here for this review. So they're committed to this. They're hesitant to commit to remove all the vinyl siding right now based on budget. Long term, I've done kind of a master plan for them. And so on the site plan, we're showing paver driveway, potential covered drop off at the rear of the house, and probably a new mother-in-law suite as well. There's a detached garage on the site. And so we would be coming back to you, hopefully in the near future, for those things, covered drop off, mother-in-law suite. But my point would be is, go up to the next slide, Emily. So when we remove the porch covering here, this is a perfect example. So, you know, obviously this was added to create entrance for the apartments. So when I removed the roof and I removed the stoop and the door's being removed as well. Young families, small children, we want to minimize door access to the exterior. So when I remove this, the recommendation is to put back hardy or wood. So my question is, how do I marry up wood or hardy siding with vinyl siding and flash it properly? And I understand the intent and absolutely committed to that. But I think in this instance, it's really not a removal, it's a repair. And so we're requesting for a repair of this because there's no good spot to stop. If I could go to a corner and do this very cleanly, absolutely we could support that. But when you look at the entire 2-story application of the vinyl, now I got to come in with hardy or a wood, and to be able to install that. So I'm asking for a request to be considered to go back with vinyl, and you don't buy this house to flip this house, right? And so the applicants, they live in the district, they're Lakelanders, they're committed to be here, and so it's not a developer trying to flip this thing. I think it's a long-term investment for what they're trying to do. And so, especially as an architect, right, we've had this conversation with them. And I told them, I'm not going to do anything that I can't get behind and would not support. And we already looked at the front porch. Everything is covered in vinyl. The existing columns are all covered in a metal wrap. So there's really no exposed original wood or columns. The only thing that's original that's exposed are the windows and the brick at the front. Everything else has been covered up with vinyl. The soffits are all covered up. And so at this point in time, and we were even, we talked about the skirting, right? And so that was definitely something I pushed for to get the more traditional lattice skirting. So I say all that to ask for a request to be considered, because one, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to flash hardy board to vinyl. It's just, you can't do it. And you end up, how you do it is you come in with a separate trim all the way around, and then you infill that. And so everywhere where I've removed the door and the roof, it's going to be this block out. And so I think it looks worse than what the repair, than what it is right now. We'd just soon keep it, keep the porch. So that's my request, that you would consider that for item 3, that we would be able to go back with vinyl, knowing that there is an intention. I mean, it's a large house, but to go back and peel all that vinyl off and ultimately do a wood siding or a hardy board siding. But we would be back here asking for that again. So that's it. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, you're saying you want to just replace or pull off certain vinyl and...
No, we wouldn't pull off any vinyl. But the porch, you see the porch on the
Takes away
image?
the porch.
The porch goes away.
That vinyl is there, is what he's saying.
And he's saying to have to put hardy in that one little section that's being repaired, he has to frame it out. So there'll be this frame out of hardy, and the entire rest of the large house will be in vinyl siding, if he's required to use hardy.
So Melinda, for example, if you see the door there, I'm going to pull out the door and I'm going to put in new wall framing and new plywood, and then I need to cover that, with a siding material. And so the trim around the door would be removed also. So when I infill that and I go ahead and I put in wood or hardy, but either one, they're going to meet, right? I've got to meet now vinyl siding.
Right.
And so you would never just butt them together.
Right.
So then I would have to end up putting some sort of vinyl trim or a hardy trim to be able to make that a weatherproof joint. And typically you really don't like to butt joint materials together, because long term it's just a water intrusion problem.
And which side of the house is this on?
So this faces south, which is, is that Charles Street?
McCrory.
McCrory, yes, McCrory.
Can that porch be left and the door left and enclosed behind it? Is that
But why would you do that?
Why would you have something with no door?
Well, when I had a 13-year-old and her bedroom had a door going to the outside, I literally closed it off with a flat panel door. She had windows, but she didn't have a door. So it was a little more difficult for her to get out.
Absolutely, and that's part of this, right? But now the purpose of that door and stoop was for when the house was a rental. And so it's non-usable right now. It doesn't make sense for a single family residence now to have 3 points of entry, front, side, and rear. And so that's the proposal, is to remove this.
Are you removing all the stoop and everything too?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole thing, that's why.
So either,
And I believe it affects the interior layout as well.
It was added, it's not part of the original.
There's a stair right there.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
The
could
other
leave
option
it,
is you don't
You
remove
could.
the stoop.
but I still have to deal with it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone coming up, maybe a visitor or somebody like that, they don't know what
Right.
door's the front door.
You
It
can
just-
close that door off from the inside.
What are the hardships with leaving the stoop there until you're ready to deal with the vinyl siding?
There's no hardship. I mean, we could leave the whole thing there, absolutely. But architecturally, it doesn't make sense to me to leave something that's non-functional for just because
That's not original.
well, one, it's not original, right? If it was original and it was part of the entry and all that, we would be keeping it, right? So non-original, the owner doesn't plan on utilizing it. And so, and in my opinion, you remove that, it actually makes the house better. It allows the feature, the octagonal projection now to be a feature of the house on that elevation. This porch takes away from that.
No, I get that, and I support removing it. But I'm just saying, does it matter do you have to remove it now? Or could you just remove it when you get around to addressing the siding?
Well, I think there's also other window enclosures that are happening on the house, so it makes sense to tackle all of that work at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense, but then it gives you that infill problem.
Right.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm looking at this huge house, and I'm understanding the intent of using the correct exterior application. But I'm also looking at the area of the house that is actually impacted. And how will, do we impede their progress by saying, well, just wait and tear that off when you're ready to address the whole thing, all over a section of
A little bit of vinyl siding, yeah.
vinyl siding that continues the existing, what are we talking square feet, John, that would have to be
Looks like
sided? I mean,
about 15 or something like that, 150 square feet.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe 70, right? 80, because the door's 30 something.
right. So we're seeing that little application. My personal opinion, you throw hardy or wood siding there and frame it out, that looks ridiculous. I mean, it's maintaining the historical ruling, but it makes no sense, and it's not the intent, I think, of that historical rule that the replacement siding be this or this. This is one section. It's being, as John said, he can call it a repair or whatever, but the overall look of the house until they get to the siding portion of it. I don't think that they need to leave the stoop, which was an add-on, and I don't think that small section of additional siding, which will match the existing, is a deal breaker in approving this. I'm sorry, this falls under the much ado about nothing, in my opinion.
So you're wanting to pull out the whole little roof section over that porch, pull out the porch, remove the door, and put the same color siding that is there right now back on in that whole area. Okay, and then maintain, one staff recommendation, maintain wood attic gable vent on the front and rear elevation of the house. To me, I don't think that those should be removed. I think that's an architectural feature that needs to be left.
We're not requesting to remove them. I was just walking through the process that it would need to be removed.
That's fine.
So we can flash, but the intent is to put them back. So I'm just letting you know, hey, if they were removed and you drive by, that we're going to put them back, but you need to flash them properly, so because right now they're open.
Well, yeah.
Blowing rain could come into that space, so we would close them. And still, that would be in front of whatever closure that we have.
And then the windows, casement windows, four-light configuration as replacement windows on the north side elevation, bump out at the kitchen area instead of single hung sash windows. Show me where that is for number 2, what we're looking at, please.
So the picture on the lower left shows those 4-light casement windows. Those actually wrap around to the west elevation, which is the front.
Oh, the top, okay. Oh, right, and so closing the top one in, is that?
The
It's,
bottom
it's the bottom
picture,
one.
The bottom picture.
the pair of
Bottom picture.
windows.
You've got 2 and 2 on the bottom there,
Yes, those are the windows.
not that. Okay, and what do we do? We're just replacing those windows?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
she's highlighted it there.
sorry.
Too late.
I'm like, wait, okay, that one and that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're being replaced with appropriate like kind.
Right, just instead of single hung sash replacement windows, to use a 4-light casement window.
Okay. And then for windows and door enclosures using siding, okay. Okay.
Those are not repairable windows at all, then I'm hearing.
No, they're falling apart.
They're pretty
Okay.
bad.
They're in bad shape.
That house is taking a beating.
On my own house, they patched.
Yeah, I know.
But they can find casement windows, that's not an issue.
Yeah. And they'll have the proper reveal and the proper inset and
Sure.
all of that, I'm assuming,
Sure.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The west-facing windows being replaced as well?
So that top picture, there's no windows being, currently, there's no windows being replaced on the front. Now,
Okay.
they would like to replace every window in the house. And so, again, budget, we have to do the minimum to be able to support the interior modifications. But if they come back and they want to replace all the windows, the ones on the front, we've talked about actually restoring the wood windows, so the ones that are facing the street. But the intent is that they're either repaired or replaced with, more energy efficient windows. And they would
Yes.
be the 1/1 pattern as
Configuration.
noted in the staff recommendation.
Okay.
That could come through then as a staff approval. Yeah.
And what's being done about the vinyl siding down at the bottom, the skirting?
Lattice.
So it's an open work lattice that's currently allowable in the district. So you could do a diagonal or a perpendicular. And so we had proposed a perpendicular 90-degree square pattern.
Okay,
Which is,
and
yeah,
that's
which is
all in
actually more
here.
historic. Yeah.
Okay. Are we at our level of?
No, we're ready for
We're
public.
still in public. I'm like, wait a minute, where are we in this? Sorry. Okay, my questions have been answered. I think.
Okay, then we'll close the public portion of this meeting. Is there any discussion among committee members? And if not, do I hear a call, or do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve this with the staff recommendation, and then a fourth item to allow for vinyl siding to be repaired where the, let me see, that's the south side porch is being removed.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Yes.
But there's a couple of windows that are being either closed or modified, so it wouldn't apply to that south. Emily had noted in red, they were highlighted and kind of hatched in, so there were 6 or 7 places where there's minor repair that needs to happen. So it wouldn't just be that south
The
elevation.
porch, okay. I'll amend number 4 then to add the fact that replacement vinyl siding can be approved for
Repaired area.
repaired areas.
Noted in this.
Okay. Do we need a, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we need a second, yeah.
Do we have a second of the amended motion?
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion.
Now, Emily, I'm assuming that you'll be following with John all this
Yes.
during this. We will keep a record copy of the photographs that he brought in today too, right?
If I could copy that, I'll copy his PDF.
Okay.
Just so it's in the record.
Any further discussion before we vote? All right, we'll call the question. For the motion, Len Dennis, John White,
For the motion?
Chris Olson,
For.
And Melinda Rinker.
For.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Motion. Thank you, John. Okay, we move on to our next review. That's HPB, hold on, yep, HPB 22
Okay.
-089 413 West Maxwell Street. Final approval requested for the new construction of a single-family house and detached garage at this address. The owner, DB Development LLC, the applicant, Mr. Barrett Salathan, I'm gonna mess this up. Salathan Nathan, close enough? Okay, MDM Services, and you can tell me the correct pronunciation, but I'm sorry about that.
Here we go. It's
Okay. Any conflicts of interest among committee members?
No.
Hearing none. Emily, would you get the staff recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair. The subject property is an interior urban lot consisting of .21 acres, which is currently vacant. And historically, the subject property was combined with the lot to the east, which contains a single-family residence, but was split from this lot recently. The proposal for new construction on the subject property includes a two-story house featuring a modern interpretation of the frame vernacular style, combined with colonial revival architectural elements. The house features a side gabled metal roof with exposed rafter tails and a hipped roof front porch supported by square columns. A hipped roof porch on the rear elevation is also featured. Colonial revival windows with light configurations of 6/6, 4/4, and 3/3 will be used. The front entrance doors will consist of 3 pairs of half-light doors with 6-light glazing. Frieze and corner boards will also be featured. And this just shows a depiction of the front or south-facing elevation. A detached 2-car garage with a side gabled metal roof is also proposed, which will match the design and materials of the house. And this garage, located at the rear northwest corner of the lot, features 1 double car width garage door and an entry door. And this slide shows the rear or north-facing elevations, showing with and without the detached garage. And this slide shows the east and west side elevations. So materials proposed for the new house and detached garage include a CMU stem wall with raised foundation, cementitious lap siding with a 6-inch exposure, along with cementitious trim, casing, frieze, and corner boards, single hung sash vinyl windows with dimensional exterior mounted muntins. 3-inch wide mullions are to be used on the paired and grouped windows. Wood double doors on the front facade, a sliding glass door on the rear elevation, and steel entry and garage doors on the detached garage. The porch will have a concrete floor and steps with hardy clad columns. And roofing will consist of 5V crimp metal panels on the 6/12 pitch main roof. The porch roof is a 4/12 pitch. Wood or fiber cement material will be used for the rafter tails that are exposed. And the exterior paint color palette is still yet to be determined. The site plan for the new house shows orientation of the front facade towards West Maxwell Street. Building setbacks as proposed for both the house and the detached garage are mostly consistent with the Land Development Code's urban form standards. However, the interior side setback on the east side of the home should be increased to 7 feet for the house concurrent with the property's RA1 zoning. A front building setback of 15 feet, 8 inches is proposed. And a concrete drive, 10 feet in width, is proposed along the west side of the property, connecting West Maxwell Street with the detached garage at the rear of the property. So this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced. And the Beacon Hill Historic District features a variety of diverse architectural styles, both historic and modern. Staff finds that the design of the proposed house is differentiated from but compatible with the contributing houses in the district and will not adversely affect the historic integrity of the district per the standards. Staff also finds the scale of building elements and massing of the proposed house and detached garage to be consistent with the design guidelines, as well as the contributing buildings in the Beacon Hill Historic District. Additionally, both new buildings are oriented correctly and are compatible with the formal massing and placement of surrounding contributing buildings. The design of the proposed new house, which reflects both frame vernacular and colonial revival styles, fits within the diversity of styles found in Beacon Hill. Details such as the gabled and hipped roof forms, building composition, and fenestration proportions reflect traditional residential design, while the lap siding, corner boards, exposed rafter tails, and square porch columns reflect the frame vernacular architectural style. Staff finds that the materials as proposed are mostly consistent with the design guidelines. Cementitious lap siding is acceptable, but must be used on all 4 elevations of the home. Cementitious finish siding, or stucco, may be used on the side and rear elevations of the garage only. While 5V crimp metal is an acceptable roofing type for use in the historic districts and for the frame vernacular style, only flat panel 5V crimp panel is to be used instead of the striated 5V crimp type. Additionally, staff suggests using French doors on the ground floor rear elevation instead of sliding glass doors. Lastly, the standard conditions for windows will apply to this project for all windows on all elevations of the home. Rear windows should reflect a simulated divided light appearance with dimensional exterior mounted muntins and mullions similar to the side and front elevations. Finally, the proposed house, detached garage, and driveway is consistent with the Land Development Code's urban form standards in terms of placement on the lot, dimensions, and most building setbacks is applicable to the subject property's RA1 zoning. However, the house must be set back a minimum of 7 feet from the east interior side property line. And additionally, given that the average front setback of houses adjacent to the subject property is 30 feet, staff recommends increasing the front setback of the proposed house from 15 feet 8 inches to at least 28 feet, which is the setback of the houses at 405 and 407 West Maxwell Street, which are located east of the subject property. Finally, the front porch depth must be increased from 6 to 8 feet. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions to be reviewed and approved at staff level prior to building permitting. Number 1, use cementitious or hardy board lap siding on all elevations of the house. And number 2, windows shall be recessed from the exterior wall face to the exterior window glass to provide a shadow line. Flush-mounted windows are not permitted. Simulated divided light windows shall have a dimensional exterior mounted muntin. Paired or group windows shall have a dimensional mullion matching the casing. And all windows shall have a traditional header, sill, and apron.
Quick question, should that say mulligan instead of mutton?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mullion.
She corrected it.
Okay, I was like, wait, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Number 3, use quote-unquote flat panel 5V crimp metal roofing. Number 4, ensure that the raised foundation is a minimum of 21 inches from grade to finished floor. Number 5, a final exterior paint color palette must be submitted to include paint manufacturer, color code, and color names for body trim and accent colors if applicable. Number 6, increase the east interior side building setback of the house to 7 feet. Number 7, increase the street side or front building setback of the house to 28 feet. And number 8, increase the depth of the home's front porch to 8 feet. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Does the applicant have anything to add?
Good morning, Barrett Sathy-Nathan with MDM Services in Lakeland.
Nothing, Nathan. I've got it now.
Yeah, it was close enough. Good try. With 413 West Maxwell. No, we have no issues with any of the staff comments. We've been coordinating with Emily over the past 6 months to come up with a historic house, and all of these comments are easily addressed for us. I think on the setbacks, we actually have there's a dimensional error on the survey. it should be laid out. It'll be in line with the rest of the houses on West Maxwell. And regarding the windows, yeah, we have no issues with that. So the house was intended to be a historically appealing house with a traditional design. It was actually inspired from a house in Charleston, South Carolina. So.
I'm ready to move in. Since I see no one from the public here, I assume no public comment. Are there questions from committee members?
Just the second floor windows appear in the rendition to the actual like photo looking one to not be to be set flat, but those are going to have the dimension around them, correct?
Could you go to the rendering, please?
Sure.
Yeah, this is done in Lumion software, and it doesn't really capture the detail. I think we put a note on there. Those windows are going to meet the historic requirements and have the, you know, they'll be recessed and have external grid or muntins on them and be divided with mullions. So yes, it's not going to look exactly like that. Regarding the color too, the color is going to be a white dove. It's like a slightly off-white color. So it'll be very similar to the color. It's a little bit more stark white in the rendering than it will be in person. It'll be a little bit softer.
And this has the corner boards?
Yes.
On all corners?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to see in that, but they're there.
One other thing, what was it?
Something that's not shown on the rendering though, on the window trim, normally the sill carries through the window trim on the two sides on a historic home, and I didn't know if that's, I mean, it's a minor detail, but.
I don't think we'd like to just keep the actual trim like that. Gives it a little bit of a, it's a little bit easier for us to frame that out and get more of an energy efficient, because we're going to use, what is the, it's a zip sheathing system on there. So we're trying to make this house as energy efficient as we can. We're going for max lead rating. If we can get it, we'd like to get a platinum lead rating for a house in the city of Lakeland. So it's intended to be like that. I don't think we'd have to go back and revisit some of the design if we were going to change that. Ideally, we'd like to keep it as is, as shown.
Is that a requirement in the city?
So it was a condition, a staff recommended condition. Yeah, 2C.
Yeah, so she took care of it there.
Okay.
Just so I understand, I may be interpreting what you're saying there differently. So you're saying they're on the window sill needs to carry through each of the three windows.
Yeah, through
Okay.
the trim.
Yeah, I don't think, okay. You're not, don't carry it across, you're just saying on each three windows externally, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, okay, I agree. I thought you were saying to carry it through the space there.
And the 5V crimp metal roofing, how is this metal roofing different from the other one?
That was
So we've just, and this is aside from this project, but we've just discovered that there is a 5V crimp metal that has two striations between the 5V crimp, or the crimps, that has a more ribbed profile that we want to avoid, that's not appropriate for homes. So the 5V crimp needs to be flat panel in between those V-shaped crimps. It
Okay.
can't have that striation.
Yeah, that's what we intend to do. We went back and looked at other applications and saw that the 5V crimp was a requirement, so we put that note on there to make sure that it would meet the requirements. But yeah, it's intended to be flat and have the traditional type rib.
Okay.
This is cheaper.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from the committee?
No.
All right. We'll close the public portion. And any discussion among committee members? If
No,
not,
we were having that behind the scenes.
I know. I heard you over there, but I was letting
I was
it
trying to
ride.
explain.
I wasn't going to go like that.
No, I was trying to explain to her the difference between 5E crimp.
I knew
and
you
what
were
we saw
having
in
an
the-
educational moment. I'm good with that.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll motion to approve per staff recommendations with 2B to state mullions instead of muntins.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. Lynn Dennis for the motion, John White,
For the motion.
Chris Olson,
For the motion.
and Melinda Rinker.
For the motion.
And you are approved.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
weekend.
You you as well.
Is that our last one?
Is that?
Appears to be.
Since nobody else is
You
here.
mean we're
Since no
done?
one else is here.
Jared, I want to thank you for your interpretations of the codes
Thank
and
you.
the issues and stuff today. This was,
No
this was a tough one.
problem. I just for the procedure for appeals, food for thought. We don't
Yeah,
have rules
that's good.
there.
Good to know.
I think Emily's adding that to her to-do list to maybe present some rules for consideration of how that should, how that process should play out. So
I have one more question on that line, though. Could we have, during the regular board meeting, approved Cesar to sit on the design review committee for just this one meeting?
I think that's just if you don't have a quorum, isn't it? Or
That is correct. That's my
That's only if you don't
understanding,
have
is
a
that
quorum.
only
Okay.
if you don't have a
Alright.
quorum for DRC, then you can vote in a board member.
In order to prevent a 2-2.
Yeah.
But if we have a quorum, then we can't vote an extra in.
Right.
That's my understanding, but Jared might have a different.
I have to
interpretation.
look at the rules and see what they say about that. But I mean, ultimately, that you kind of make your own rules. So if you can amend your rules, then you can, you can make changes and,
Yeah, I mean,
and
we
do
can-
things.
Yeah,
that-
we didn't foresee a 2-2 split anyway. But
But honestly, that if we had the option or did move it, deny it, then have them appeal it immediately,
Yeah.
that would have taken care of it without having to make another rule that if,
Yeah, okay.
you've got a quorum, but you've got a split vote, then you bring somebody else on.
So
That
then
would be
we-
cleaner, I think.
Vote to close out design review and go back to the
Open,
regular,
yeah.
open the regular, then
Take
vote to
care
close
of it,
that.
close that.
Yeah, come back. Gotcha.
It sounds laborious, but it would really be
The
not so
most
bad.
expeditious way
Yeah,
to
I think so.
avoid the issue we were having.
In our design guidelines, do we have those two different metal roofing pieces showing in there?
No, we need to make that amendment. This has recently, literally just come up in the past month. I've gone out to do final inspections of metal roof installations where they were supposed to use a 5E crimp roof, and discovered this other type of roofing is now being used, and the roofing companies are saying the striations make the roofing type more rigid and prevent oil canning, which oil canning is a historic kind of patina in itself, and we would encourage that. So I think it's just roofing companies are just setting their preference.
Well, they're
And not
going with a
knowing.
cheaper product.
It could be.
Essentially.
I did inquire with one roofing company, and they said there wasn't a cost difference between the two 5B crimp types. So I don't know. I think they just don't like the oil canning effect. Yeah.
But my next door neighbor put all new 5E crimp on his, and
Yep.
it works.
And he
It's
chose
gonna
the right
start
guy.
happening because insurance companies are not gonna insure your roof if it's
oil canned.
Yeah, it's all gonna go to metal.
They'll
Yeah.
fight you if you have the regular one on.
They'll make your premium go really up.
Well, but wasn't that just addressed by the legislature?
Yeah, but it hasn't gone through yet.
It hadn't gone through yet until the
Yeah.
governor signs it.
That's called, we'll wait and see how this all pans out. No pun intended. Okay, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned.
I'm taking minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Signed them yet?